Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Week 6 of the Preseason League of Legends Champion rotation. I have my co-anchor here, Mr. Manslaughter again.
Hello, again.
And we're going to be reviewing this week's champs. A lot of fun champs this week, and we're just going to kick it off with Alistair, as Cody and I, and also everyone out there that's been watching us weekly. Mr. Manslaughter's real name's Cody, if you haven't figured it out by now, and I call him Cody, so that's why. Cody and I love this champ, Alistair. Great, and as we sometimes call him, A-lister. Cody, you know a lot about this champ. I just started playing him actually just the other day. You were actually there for the first game. So if you want to go ahead and jump right in, go ahead.
Yeah. Alright, A-lister, great champion because on a team he fills two roles. He's both a great tank and a great support champion for two reasons, really. He has a heal, which is very low mana cost in proportion to how much it heals, and it has a very low cooldown. And also, he has a ton of crowd control that can completely change a team fight. It's an AoE knock-up and a knockback.
Yeah, like I said, I just started playing him this week. Cody was actually in the game that I started playing him, and the only thing I can really say is he's not as tanky as you think he is when you first put it in early game, but as the game goes on, I'm surprised he's not banned like Moo and Singe both are, because he is just as tanky. I understand why Moo would be more so because he can jungle, but tons of CC, fun to play, and he's got that heal. If you slap him with an AD champ bottom lane, you're not going to lose that lane, ever. Like, I couldn't see any reason why you would, because if you're playing against like a Sona or a Janna and an AD carry, you're going to have so much more tankiness, I guess, to your lane. So he's not a confusing champ either. He scales straight AP, doesn't have any of this goofy scaling. And all right, and moving on to the next champ on our list, one of the more predominant Dominion champs I've noticed, Heimerdinger. Fun champ to play, scales straight AP. Really one of the most unique champs definitely in the game, where he can place, turrets down, and as the turrets, his turrets can kind of be OP at times. Cody, I know that you've seen a friend of ours, Ethan, just go off with him. Would you like to shed some light on the issue?
Well, honestly, I think Heimer's suffered quite a few nerfs lately. Not lately, but in the past.
Since we've seen him dominate mid lanes, yeah, definitely.
He suffered a few nerfs, which have really targeted his turrets. But one thing that I've noticed a couple of Heimers do lately is they'll get their turrets very early, leveled up, for farming purposes, just because you literally get 100% farm with them in lane. Mm-hmm. But then they level up their rockets, because one that I guess bad thing you'll see with Heimer late game if you play him a couple times is you get to about level 11 or 12, a team fight will happen, and unless you're like set up for it 10 to 15 seconds in advance with your turrets in place, you're going to do almost nothing in the team fight, because your turrets will be leveled all the way up and that's about it. But definitely level your other abilities over turrets starting at like level 3 or 4.
Yeah, I would agree. The biggest problem with Heimer is he can't contribute hardly at all in team fights unless, you bait them into a bush and you have some turrets hidden. It's really hard to hit them. I mean, you have that concussion grenade, which is has a nice stun on it, but really other than that, and the missiles, like you said, you have one ability and it's throw down a turret. That's it. I mean, so.
Most champions outrange turrets if they have any range at all.
Yeah, almost I think every AD carry does. I don't think I've ever had a problem with that. I mean, even Teemo, who isn't even a straight AD carry, outranges turrets, because I guess if you didn't make it that way, it would be like counterproductive. You couldn't ever hit the turret who would be hitting you, and it would be annoying. So I'm sure it's good design on Riot's part. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, he's a fun champ to play, but I wouldn't really recommend learning him for competitive purposes at all.
All right, we're going to move to Irelia, the Will of the Blades. Interesting champ. she's one of those split champs. She scales a little bit of AP, a little bit of AD, especially on her ult. She's one of those, I don't know, she's kind of like a melee champ, but I think her ult has a little bit of range on it. So she's a very interesting champ, but not like a Yi or a Tridamir. How do you feel about her?
Well, when you compare her to Yi and Tridamir, I would compare her more to like a Jarvan, a Renekton, and Nasus.
Okay.
She's like, I think she's like in that off-tank genre of champions.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. She's one of the best solo top champions in the game. Because one of her abilities actually gives her basically a lifesteal passive.
Okay.
She's very resilient against ganks because of her actual passive, which the more champions there are in an area, the more tenacity she gains, which is duration of stuns and stuff.
OP is what it is.
Yeah.
I never really understood that, why you would say she's off tank. Yeah, I understand that now, because hypothetically, if you could get her attack speed up high enough, her auto attacks restore the health to her from her passive. So you could, theoretically, if you could get your attack speed to 2.0 or something, you could sit there and hit somebody like you see Tridamirs or Yis do, or Nasus's. You see a lot of that. Scion, another champ, that can sit there and just hit you as you're attacking them, and they can just out-damage you solely based on the amount of lifesteal. Not a champ. I've never actually ever played her, but I played against her enough to know she's annoying, and I don't really enjoy it. And moving on, a lot of AP players this week. We haven't quite got to the AD players yet. Kassadin, or as Cody and I will call him, Kassadine, just as a big joke. I think he's one of the hardest champs to play. I've tried to play him a couple times. He's really difficult to play in lane, in my opinion. Cody might combat that, but I think if you want to try to learn him, he's a really strong champ. He's great to play. If you want to try to learn him, make sure you read up on him, watch some videos online first, because if you just go out there cold, you're gonna be confused. So, Cody, would you like to jolt in?
Yeah. Well, he's definitely not a traditional AP carry, because he's not gonna. He's gonna burst you down because of his ult and his Q, which is silence. But his other abilities are weird because they give you like attack speed increases. They put ability power scaling on some of your normal attacks for a period of time. So he's not going to just straight burst someone down with his abilities, especially early game, before he gets his ult. But speaking of his ult, one of the best escape mechanisms and chasing mechanisms
Rift
in the game.
Insane. Yeah. And the one thing I will tell you is, like Cody was saying, he won't burst you down. The one thing I've noticed about him, and I've laid against him, is Annie or Brand, two of my mains, and that silence is annoying because he can just walk up, hit you with it, and a lot of players, what I've found works better, but a lot of players will, after they hit the silence, run back towards their turret. Well, all the damage that he can really do has already been done, so the best thing to do is, like that Anivia shot, kind of go after him after that. Try to get a couple hits on him because he's going to take you down slowly. He's going to hit you with that, walk away. Hit you with that, walk away because of that silence. So, would you disagree to try to kind of give him a push after that?
Well, you can, but it's also very hard to do because you'll see him post level 6 silence you and then ult away.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's no real reason to flash after him because you're probably not going to kill him.
Yeah, and his cooldown on that's like 4 seconds, 5 seconds. It's gonna take. What are you gonna do? You're gonna flash against him and then chase him into the turrets.
Yeah.
So, he's an annoying champ, and he's one of the hardest champs to play. If you ask me, I can't think of anybody I would rather not play. So, move on to one of the most OP champs in the game, but they nerfed him recently in the past month or so. Mordekaiser has amazing scaling, scales AP and AD on his Q, but AP otherwise straight away. And they nerfed him down because that was one of the champs. We always say Mumu, Annie, Singed, all these champs are always banned. Mort used to almost always get banned, And I always had a joke with Cody and some other people we play with. I've never been in a game with a Mordekaiser on a team that lost but now I have. Now that they nerfed him, he's a little bit easier to deal with. Cody, I know you have some strong feelings about Mordekaiser.
Mordekaiser, I mean, he still is a sweet champion. Because they nerfed his shield to where it doesn't gain nearly as much off minions. So you can't just farm and not worry about the other person attacking you because you have infinite shield. So now he's a normal champion. And one mistake a lot of Mordekaiser players will make is they'll try and build him straight ability power. But that really limits the amount he can do because your shield doesn't really get that high anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to build a little bit tanky so you stay alive so your ult can take effect. Because really once your whole, I guess, goal in a team fight is to ult their AD carry, everyone focus that AD carry, and then so you'll get a clone of him. And most people don't realize that clone actually influences your shields. So if you have an AD carry's damage shooting out all the time, you're going to have full shields, even taking on maybe 2 enemy champions.
Exactly.
And that's why you see Mordekaisers get those quadra kills out of nowhere, because they can't be killed.
Yeah, and like you said, to scale him only AP would be such a waste. He's scaling at 1.0 and 1.6 on his Q alone. So, I mean, if you don't scale them both, it's okay, I shouldn't say that. If you don't build them both ways, then you're really wasting some potential there. But yeah, like I said, since the nerf, he's actually more of a fair champ, but still, if he gets fed, you don't want to fight him. He's not fun to fight against by any means. So, all right, now moving on. Now a couple of these, 2 here in a row, are 2 of my mains. Well, not so much anymore, but one of my favorite champs to play. Nunu, the Yeti Rider. Cody knows how much I love Nunu. One of the first champs I played, the first champ I ever bought. Now, he's had a nerf recently to kind of make him less, I don't know how you would call it, less supportive in team fights maybe. The duration of his slow lasts longer, or the percentage of it. It doesn't slow at a high percentage at early levels. At 18, you still get that 60% slow. But really, still not a bad champ. You don't see him a lot because there's better junglers out there, and that's really where he belongs in the jungle. He scales the best on his ult, is the best scaling of any champ, at 2.5 AP ability power on his damage, and that stacks on top of the base damage, which is already a pretty large amount. Cody, would you like to jump in? Because I mean, I could talk about Nunu for a day.
On Nunu, you're definitely going to want to build a Banshee's Veil.
Yeah.
Because your ult won't go off without it.
Definitely. The first thing, I mean, if you're going to build Nunu, and I don't really want to go into builds on the show, that's not really the point, but first thing you're going to rush is a Banshee's Veil. You're going to want to get, just the normal boots, and then get your Banshee's Veil, and then, finish off with your Merc Treads or whatever however you're building your guy, Sorcerer's Boots, doesn't matter. But yeah, get a Banshee's Veil. Getting a Banshee's Veil on Nunu is the difference between your team fighting 5 full health champs or your team fighting 5 half health champs, because his ult really does that much damage. And it also slows if they're in the AoE. So you really should build him. I mean, you can, like I said, I could go on for days how to build him. I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, definitely get a Banshee's Veil. If you have any questions, message me on YouTube. I'll be sure to answer them. I also have a Nunu 3v3 video if you ever want to check it out. Awesome champ, love him. He's one of my favorite champs to play. I played him just a couple weeks ago. He was a lot of fun, but I don't play that much anymore considering my role when I play usually is play the AD carry or the AP carry. So, all right, moving on to Rammus, another one of my mains. One of my favorite people to jungle with. He's a lot of fun, and one thing a lot of people forget about Rammus is 25% of your armor gets added to your AD. So you really want to build him tanky. Don't do any of this, build him off tank because he'll do a lot of damage. He will do more damage if you just build him straight tank, because And he just does. His ult scales well with AP. His ult scales at 0.3, and his Powerball scales at 1.0, which is actually really nice. You don't really use the Powerball for damage, but I mean, Cody, you've seen me go in there with Rammus. He's one of the most tanky characters in the game.
Yeah, you just full blast into a team fight, pop your ult, maybe taunt their AD carry.
Yeah, and one thing that's really, again, on the champs that we know a little bit more about, we're going to give you guys tips on how to play them. Really good thing if you're jungling with Rammus, obviously run your smite, run flash, because really great thing to do is Powerball towards someone, and then right before you get in range, you can actually flash into them, and you'll kind of take them off guard, and then as soon as you get them Powerball, taunt, then use your W, your defensive ball curl, and then tremors if there's going to be a team fight. If there's not going to be a team fight, don't waste your ult. But also another thing about the ult, I get so passionate about this, it has a 1 minute cooldown. Like, I use it to farm minions because you get it so fast, you might as well just use it. It's kind of like Ash's arrow. So yeah, I definitely love Rammus. I think he's one of the best junglers because he fills that jungle and tank role. Really versatile champ. All right, moving on to the next champ, we have Twisted Fate. This is one of the only AD carries I've actually never ever played. I've seen him play, and he's a lot of fun to watch. But since the nerf of his global ult, because it's not global anymore. There's that small bubble field. You don't see him played as much anymore, but still a really good champ. I mean, definitely. Cody, would you like to?
Yeah. I mean, I think TF's ult actually hurt him a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at it, I actually looked at this not too long ago. If you're mid lane, your ult can't really go behind the side lane's turrets, which is generally where you got your kills. Because someone would get low health, they'd go behind their turret, and they'd recall. You could just ult behind them and get a couple early kills. And if you play AD carries, early kills are huge.
Yeah, definitely.
They get you ahead in your build, and AD carries are about the late game, so it just moves the late game forward. And that's why TF is such a strong champ. But since they kind of removed that ability, it hurt him greatly.
Okay.
It'd be kind of like if they changed Karthus' ult to not hitting the full match.
It's just an AoE, yeah. I understand that. I understand what you're saying about the Karthus ult being brought down. So would you think that maybe it's a better idea for his ult to maybe increase, at 11, or I'm sorry, at 6, at 11, and at 16? It's 13. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like generally by 16, his ult, I wouldn't say it's like completely nullified, but it used to be mainly used at level 6. Once you get at level 6, that's why TF lane mid. He's actually not a very good mid laner. But you lane him mid, get level 6 really quickly, and then right when you got it, you'd look for someone to go kill, teleport over to him, and take him out. So I just feel like he's not become obsolete. That's too harsh of a word, but it's just not what he used to be.
Yeah, I mean, he still has that stun, so he's useful. Yeah, I know what you're saying. His presence really isn't felt that much. And one thing about his ult that not a lot of people talk about, but as you get further into late game, if you get a Nexus turret or two and you have a TF that's kind of fed, you saw a lot of backdooring from him. A lot of people would just say, okay, everyone defend, and then when the other 4 or 5 champs got into your base, you have your TF go ult out into their base and just take down, their Nexus. So I would agree that it's kind of put a hinder on him, but he was overpowered, so there has to be some kind of median there.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it is, but hopefully Riot figures it out, and he's a really fun champ to play against and have on your team, and I'm guessing he'd be fun to play with. Unfortunately, I didn't start playing AD carries until after he got nerfed, and then, there's other AD carries I'd like to learn, so I never really got into it, but... Alright, moving on to the next character. We got another mixed champ, a lot of mixed champs this week. Urgot, one of the, as we call him the Crab Sniper. He kind of looks like Bane from the new Batman movie, but Fun champ. I've laned against him. I've laned with him. He's a really good ranged fighter, I guess is the best way. He's not really an AD carry, but he's got sick range. Cody, you can go ahead and...
Urgot, he's just like, I don't know how to say it, but...
Would you agree that he's almost like that thorn in your side? Like in a lane? Like he's just a pain to deal with?
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah.
I feel like the late game, it's just hard to put him on a team.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because he does a lot of damage, but his ult, I mean, yes, it increases his armor and magic resistance, but it puts him in a position where he's probably going to die.
Yeah.
Because it switches him with someone. So it's kind of like,
true.
You guys have this guy and I'll give you me type of thing.
Yeah. But I mean, you have seen it used and, and really someone's pushing your turret. But yeah, I think you're talking more about the late game team fights, though.
Yeah. He's a cool champ. I don't know too much about him, but
yeah, I mean, it's like I said, he has decent scaling, but I would agree in late game team fights where games are won and lost, he's hard to put in there. He doesn't do that much, but early game laning, he's a pain. He's not fun to deal with. He's got that E ability, that E ability that allows those toenails to fly at you, and just you can't do anything about it. It's just annoying. So, I don't know. And moving on to the last champ of the week, Zilean, the Chrono Keeper. Fun champ.
Zilean.
Yeah. Poor Zilean, yeah, because he got that nerf. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would disagree that the nerf wasn't needed. I don't know if anybody would agree that it was a little bit too much. How do you feel about that?
I feel like they took away his only ability from him. They completely destroyed him.
Yeah. He's more or less a support champ now because he's got that revive, that he can use his ult on someone, and if they die, they're untargetable. So he's become a glorified support champion that has a really annoying harass, but not really that annoying anymore because the range has just been deduced by so much. And that's, I mean, again, I feel like every week we kind of have a story, and I think this week the story is some of these champs are really hard to place on the team. Yeah,
because the problem with Zilean is he used to be like that harassing AP champ, but now they've reduced him to his original role, which is a support champ. But his only support ability is really the ult. So levels 1 through 5, I mean, he can put his bombs on you, but those got severely nerfed. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, like we said, it's almost in like, I shouldn't say the week, but you got Heimer or got Zilean, really hard to put on teams, and that, so I wouldn't suggest anyone to learn of those people, but I think the champ of the week to learn is Alistar. What do you think, Cody?
Yeah, Alistar changes games.
Yeah.
Just period. Rammus too.
Yeah, I think Rammus.
I
think Rammus is one of the best junglers, but if I had to rank tanks, Alistar would definitely be in the top 5. Definitely in the top 5. Like tanky characters that if I need someone to build tank, definitely top 5. I don't think, and he's been nerfed. His heal's been nerfed, stuff like that, and I don't know. I think that definitely top 5. But all right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. That's gonna bring us to an end. For Mr. Manslaughter, I'm Peter Panich, aka Peter Panic, and thanks for listening this week, guys. Have a great week.